All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 17 Club Men's Mastermind. And it is a beautiful Tuesday here in North Florida. I got to remember where I am, North Central Florida. Yeah, it's confusing sometimes when I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, look, today we are going to start off as usual with the purpose statement of the 17 Club, which is building disciplined men of purpose who take responsibility, act with intention, and serve others. This is where we study the science of personal achievement and to support, encourage, and hold each other accountable on their journey toward their personal or professional definite chief aim. All right, so that's the way we start. And guys, I want to welcome you here today. It's always good for me to see you on Tuesday mornings. And Phil Conway, my buddy and fellow coach, Phil Conway, is going to be leading us today. Our topic of discussion today is budgeting time and money. Hmm. Nobody has any problems with that, do we? Budgeting time and money. So it's going to be a great conversation, going to be led by Phil Conway. Please feel free to raise a hand if you have a comment. Don't wait to be asked. If you have questions, comments, something to share, that would be great. But before we get into the topic, let's go ahead and look for some experiences that you had over the last week. Anybody have anything exciting happen over the last week that you'd like to share? Or perhaps you were addressed with a problem that you'd like some advice on. That's what we're here for. Men helping men. So who's got something they want to share? Raise your hand.
I have one thing,
Go ahead, Phil.
and I'm really grateful I had an enjoyable weekend. My alma mater, Merrimack College, won the Hockey East title. So it was wonderful watching them now take the next steps. It's weird, though, they have Eastern teams in a bracket that had to play in South Dakota. And there's people from like the West and Central that have to come play in Worcester. I don't know why they just keep it so you have your local fan bases that could attend at least to get them to the final. But anyway, it was just great to watch that, and so we'll see how that unfolds.
Nice, nice. Congratulations, Merrimack College.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Love it. You love hockey, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's a passion of mine. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
yeah. And I was an assistant women's coach at Merrimack for a couple of years too. Years
Nice.
ago when they were trying to go from club to varsity. That was a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got something to share as well. I started about, well, I guess it's 11 days today. 11 days ago, I decided to, take an inventory of my personal fitness. And I've always been kind of focused on, what I look like, what I do, how my clothes fit, and all that kind of stuff. To the point where even when I was a Marine, I had uniform trousers that went from a waistline of 32 and a waistline of 34. I never let myself go beyond 34. If those started to get tight, it was time to get back to action or back to business. And I decided to experiment with Napoleon Hill's, one of his 12 riches in life is sound health. And so I took an inventory. I did an exercise routine. I put it into AI and kicked it in and said, hey, how do I stack up to other men the same age as I am? So age 70 with what I'm doing. And AI gave me all this kind of feedback and stuff. And then I started working on putting together a program. And I realized I was getting a little bit heavier than I like. I don't like to get over 160 pounds. And I was at 162. And I said, okay, it's time. And so the one rule I have is when you go overweight, you can do everything else the same because I eat pretty well, but I like red wine. And so when I get overweight, it says, okay, maybe you're drinking too much red wine. So I went completely alcohol free 11 days ago. I was 162 pounds. I maintained my normal workout routine. And today I weighed in at 158.5. So in 11 days, I've dropped almost 4 pounds. And it's a steady decline. Every day, it's 2 to 3 ounces less each time I weigh in. So I share it with you guys just to remind all of us that, we have control. We have full control of what's going on in our minds and in our bodies. And do you have a standard that you hold yourself to? Right? And that's the question I do. And ironically, 160 pounds is light compared to what I weighed when I got out of the Marine Corps. And I was in really good shape. I was like 175 pounds, but things change over time. And I think, the message for me is when if things change over time, then that means we have to change over time. Fair enough. I'm frozen, so I don't know if you guys can still hear me.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can
All
hear
right.
you. We can see you.
Let me see if I can unfreeze this thing. Alex is trying to come in, and I can't get him in. All right. I am going to pull my screen the other way. All right. There we go. Now I'm out.
Frank, I have a quick one.
Go ahead, Rob.
So gents, it's gonna start off horrible, but it gets better. So Sunday, uh, my best friend of 30 years decided to let me go. Fired me. My contract was up to 31st. He said, "Hey, I'm not going to renew your contract." Um, Long story how we got here. I quit my job to come help the guy keep his business off, set up a bunch of networks for him. And this guy just felt that I was talking to other businesses that he didn't want to talk to. And, I tried to convince him that's not the case. Look, you can look at all my LinkedIn. I mean, he's a very paranoid individual. And, yeah, let me go out of nowhere. So, it was a good roundhouse to the face or a shotgun blast to the face. But I'll tell you what, where I'm at in life, here with you men, the other things I've been doing on my own, I've never been in a more mentally, emotionally stronger place to take that kind of a shotgun blast to the face. My intuition was already up because he was ghosting me on different items and looking at my LinkedIn profile quite a lot. And so, I've been around the block a few times and say this something's not right. And I'm not going to sit there and not have a contingency plan. So I had already started networking back in Colorado. Already had some things in place. The trigger was if he fired me because I just didn't know what was going on with the guy, and he did. He fired me, and I had everything in place. That was the trigger. I called my friends, called my network. Hey, it happened. I thought it was going to happen. My intuition was right. So I'll be moving back to Colorado Monday, and starting over. But I'm in such a good place to where I'm excited about it. I'm excited to start over. I'm excited to get out there and meet these brothers of mine. They're like, Rob, we got you. The guy fell on his own sword because I did build out a lot of his networks. And I'm telling that story. I'm driving right now to say bye to another associate. Um, so, long story short, I'm good. I truly am good. I gave it to God. Said, God, I forgive this guy. I just got to keep on mission and keep moving forward. So it's a good feeling. It's strange. I should be very, very. I was upset. Believe me. There was 2 days where I was a human being, and there was a lot of colorful vernaculars flying out of my mouth, and a lot of imagination happening to what I wanted to do to this guy. But it's all gone now. I shook it off, and here I am. I'm in a good spot.
And Rob, thanks for sharing that. It's how do we respond to situations, right? I think the initial reaction is we're upset, what am I going to do now? That type of thing. But at the end of the day, it's happened. It's happened. So, as Napoleon Hill would say, where's the seed of benefit inside this adversity that we're going through? I wish Zach was here. Zach was dropping off his daughter at an appointment that he had to drop her off at, and he jumped on real quick just before we started, and he shared that he was really upset this past week because he lost one of his earbuds, and we know how expensive earbuds can be, right? So he was really upset that he lost one, so we had to go buy a new set, and the new set he was going to buy was like $80. And all of a sudden, the guy behind the counter, Zach thought the guy was going to try to upsell him, but he said, "Hey, I got these earbuds. They were like $180, but he was able to give him like $100 discount on it because of some special that was going on." So he gets this brand new set of $180 earbuds for the price he was going to pay for a lesser set of earbuds. And he says, initially I was all upset about this. What was I upset about? Look, the universe gave me something even better. So I know it sounds hokey, and for anybody that might be listening to this recording as we're moving forward, this isn't all about spirituality, but it is about the universe, and the universe is out there, and we have no control over it. We're just like pawns on a chessboard, and life is going to happen, good things, bad things, unusual things, whatever, and we just have to figure out, okay, this is a test of how I'm going to respond to this situation. And fortunately, I think everybody in the room, we've all grown old enough to know that it doesn't pay to get like flipped out over it. It's just okay. Here's what I'm dealing with. What's the situation? And what am I going to do next? And just life goes on. I think every one of our parents told us that at one time, right? Life goes on. So just keep on moving. So Rob, thanks for sharing. I appreciate you. And Luis is in the room. Welcome, Luis. And Phil, Mr. Conway, budgeting time and money is on you, my friend. Go for it.
Yes, thank you. And I'm just so happy and grateful to be here to share this coffee and dynamic conversations with all you amazing men here. Coffee cheers, Slante, as they say in Ireland. I'm still carrying the St. Patrick's cheers.
Yeah, there you go.
um, anyway, yeah, and Rob, that's like Frank said too. Is I really applaud you for kind of continuing to go on. Brad led us so well last week and brought in David Meltzer talking about adversity. I've been in that situation where I was fired by my brother by email. Imagine that. Family businesses and family gatherings, and what do I do? Because we do this work, I learned how to forgive myself for things that I might have missed that I wasn't even aware of. And I forgive him. And I know the level of awareness that they're operating at. We're always operating at our best. The trouble is the awarenesses are all, there's 9 billion different ways. And so we are on our own path. And that's what we are here today to, while we're on our path, I love this budgeting time and money. Now, isn't that so intangible when you think of it? It's like, how do we budget time? Like, time is, we can go into many rabbit holes of what it is. Really, just to keep us framed for the conversation today, what does Napoleon write about? He writes about, this is really where we're having some plain talk. Where it's like, okay, hey, I want to shake you up and I want to see how organized are you? Are you a drifter or are you a non-drifter? And we understand this is where all the principles are starting to come into play. Do you really know your purpose? Or are you writing your purpose? But do you really know your purpose? Why you're here? You know, uh, we had a conversation talking about, um, that definite chief aim or your definite, destination or what is it that you're going. How do you know you're on the journey that's suitable for you as opposed to just fitting in and doing whatever comes up because it's easy? It's so easy to do. It's also easy not to do. How disciplined are we? Think of it. Notice it. How disciplined are we? And do we have a journal? Are we noting our emotions, noting our actions? Are we noting our plan? There's a wonderful chapter, Organized Planning, which is a long chapter, but it's really amazing and Think and Grow Rich that Napoleon Hill writes about. So this is all starting to come into noticeable results. So we're starting to go from the inside to the outside. This is where we start to see outer results. He talks about, basically when you know these principles, you know more than you learn in college. And how are you looking at yourself? Are you measuring yourself as success or failure? And he goes on to talk about the idea is we can't get something for nothing. What is it that we're doing? And the key of all these principles coming together is action. Successful people must know themselves, not as they think they are, but as the habits that have made them. And he goes further into the action guide and in the booklet too about the idea of habits. And that's where I wanted to start us today. Is that, do you ever notice that there's either too much month at the end of your money? Or do you ever notice that the day ends before you get a chance to spend the time you wanted to spend doing the things you wanted to do? Those are inverse ways of looking at this concept of time. And what is time really? Is it that's like a human construct? And I know that Bob Proctor, a mentor of mine, he always wanted to know how Earl Nightingale got so many things done. And Earl Nightingale said to him, he had this little sheet of paper. There's a card, and on it he had his 5 things he had to do. He says, "Nobody manages time. We manage our activities." So, how do you measure your activities during the day? For example, you wake up in the morning. Do you have a morning routine? Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw the largest deer almost hit a tree right outside my window. I've never seen a deer that large. It must be a buck or something. Anyway, I get distracted.
Squirrel,
Um,
squirrel.
Squirrel, yeah. um, yeah, where was I? I was at the point of talking about like, we always have this moment, and there's nothing else except this moment. But in our mind, in our thinking, are we fixed on a past moment, a past memory, an activity that happened to us, or are we fixed on the future? Instead of just being present and being clear, and we're present, we're clear. That is our most powerful place to be. And when you have your morning routine, do you get into that? The 5 things that you need to do. What's that one biggest thing? Can you do that first? And then in your journal, how are you talking about your journal? If you're booking in your calendar, for example, what is each hour of the day? What does it do? I have, you know, here's, my calendar. I have all the appointments that are blocked out there. And I also have my Google Calendar, which I check online too. I'm always doing those 2 things. I'm old school. I write it down because it helps me to remember, but then I put it in my Google Calendar. But Google does a great job at reminding me. Um, so we can use technology if we don't have a journal. What are those activities that you're doing, and how do you bring a focus to that 30-minute block of time? How do you have 30 minutes that you just allow yourself to think for free? Just free thinking. Allow yourself to think of as reading self-confidence formula. It takes a few minutes to read that, but are you thinking and picturing yourself with the goal already achieved, being the person, that identity? When it comes to time, are you spending that time in study and how to improve yourself? I'm curious, anybody keep a time journal? And I see a hand up, Luis. Will you have something to add to the conversation? Or was that just
No, no, no. Yes. Yeah, I do most of the things that you're saying, but I have my calendar. Actually, we bought a I don't even know, it's a Google thing now, so we can have my wife's, I mean, and my calendars all
all mixed
together,
together?
so we can actually know what's going on. So then miscommunication or I didn't know it's just an excuse because now all you got to do is push a freaking button and it shows right there, and I programmed the activity. But what you're saying, Phil, it's most of us we were not taught to be organized. Most of us were taught to have personal hygiene and the house clean, right? Make your room but and then we start kind of going through some kind of schedule once we're 5, 6 years old. We get up, breakfast, bath or whatever, school, after school activities, and boom. And I have the very first punch in my face the day I stopped going to school. Because the very
Mm,
next day I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I was lost for a few days, for real. Like then I don't have to get up early. I don't have to have certain things done at a certain time. And it was rough. Good thing I was training in martial arts and all that. So my evenings were kind of okay, but the mornings were not that great. So what I've learned through personal development and what I'm going is we are so used to not be organized with our activities, just like you said. We go here, there, and it's very easy nowadays to get interrupted by non-important things, right? The message, the call, whatever, anything, the email. But one of the things that I've learned is that, just like you said, write down your list and don't go to step two or goal three until number one is done. I put all my attention, all my intention into at the task at the moment. And I'm not going to deviate. I'm not going to get distracted. Or even if I do, I go back to it and I'm not going to go for the next big piece of the pie until the first part is done. So, so that's what I have. That's what I was making sense right now while you were talking, because I remember like, oh, that's right. That's how I was in my late teens when I stopped going to school. I dropped out of high school because of martial arts. I wanted to train and train and train and train, but that was chaotic for years because I wouldn't wake up at the same time every morning. I wouldn't go to bed at the same time every night. It was a mess for years. So how how can we just stay focused, right? And manage the activities. I love that. I love where you're going. Thank you. I hope I didn't interrupt you, Phil.
No, you didn't. This is what we're here for, just kind of, I mean, none of us are the experts, even if we're the ultimate 1% who operate with the best use of time, we still can be learning more, no matter what. Frank, your hand's up. Come on into the conversation.
Yeah, Phil, thank you for this. Yeah, I mean, time is limited. We each have 24 hours. And,
Mm,
Napoleon talks about, well, 16 of those hours are already spoken for. Eight of
yeah.
them, for most of us, is work. 8 hours a day of work, whatever that occupation might be. And we may have some flexibility with that if we're entrepreneurs, whatever. But at the end of the day, regardless of who we are and what we're doing, 8 hours should be focused on your purpose, your work. And then 8 hours for sleep. And, I know a lot of people, I know I certainly did at a younger age, would stay up until, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, go to bed, get up at 8 and go to work, and that's just not good for you. You can't sustain that health wise, to maintain your sound health. So 8 hours of work and 8 hours of sleep are mandatory according to the philosophy of Napoleon Hill. So that leaves us with 8 hours. And if you want an eye-opening experience, I use a journal. I use a journal every day. I usually write it in the morning, and I go back and reflect on, what did I do yesterday? And when you're going to write down what were the things that you accomplished yesterday or that you experienced yesterday, and you're having a hard time answering the question, that means you can't account for those 8 hours. The 8 hours that you have of freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do. Leroy, in our personal, our private mastermind that we have on Mondays, Leroy brought up a great question that was asked of him during one of his teaching sessions. And what's the difference between definite purpose and definite chief aim? And I was conflicted with that. I kind of thought they were the same. And then our friend Gary Glass gave me a different perspective. Our definite major purpose is the thing that we want to accomplish in our life. What do we want to achieve? What's that big picture look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? Your definite chief aim is going to be what are the steps to that achievement that you're focusing on right now, right? Because it's not just one big step from here to there. It's a bunch of little steps or a bunch of medium steps, whatever that might be. And so your definite chief aim is for right now. What am I focused on right now? And so I bring that into this conversation because when it comes to time, we have to block out that time. And I actually laugh at myself. My workout routine is usually 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm out on the road starting my run. Well, today I have an 11 o'clock meeting here in this room with you gentlemen. So guess what? That means I have to start at 8:30. All right, so I'm taking a little bit of time away from my wife, who we have coffee and tea in the morning at 8 o'clock until usually 9. Well, now it's only 8 to 8:30, so I hope she gets up on time because I'm going out at 8:30 because that's a priority for me. My workout is a priority, right? And so what are your priorities? So when you're looking at your time and budgeting that time, you got to do the 8 hours of sleep, you got to do the 8 hours of work. Where are you putting in those other priorities? Okay. Now, for those of you who have been in this room for most of the year now, you know that one of my priorities this year was to learn how to play guitar. Guess what? Haven't touched it in about a week and a half. And guess what? It's not in my calendar. So is it really a priority? Because if it's a priority, it needs to go in your calendar. And even my wife said to me, "Do you really want to do that? Because you haven't touched it in a while." And so, hey, and I think that's okay. If you set a goal of achievement that you wanted to do, and it's not a burning desire, it's not pulling you to take action on it, then adjust and focus on the things that are important. The most important thing for me personally, physically, are my workouts because I want to live to be 100 and piss everybody off. All right. So that's my major purpose. So my definite chief aim is to eat right, work out, and exercise, right? And get all that stuff in. Do what you got to do. Nobody takes my workout time away from me, right? So I know I'm getting long-winded on this, but the bottom line is time has to be divvied up, diced up to fit the things that you want to accomplish. Even if it's only 30 minutes on this project, 45 minutes on this project, an hour over here, but it should be in writing, it should be in your calendar. Because if you just depend on your mind, because of what Louise said, this thing's a distractor. Yeah, that's my granddaughter, by the way, who just popped up there. It's my 8-year-old granddaughter. That's a distractor, right? And so if you let that distract you, your mind will go off in different directions and you will forget about your priorities. So my magic to making sure I do what I'm supposed to do is to write it down. Block it out, write it down. Give yourself a deadline. When you give yourself a deadline, you get it accomplished. And how do you decide what the deadlines are? You look at all the things you got to get done and you figure out what's the most important. Louise brought it up. What's the most important thing that needs to be done now? What needs to be done first? I have 10 things I need to do. What needs to be done first? Choose that one. That's your definite chief aim for the moment. Give yourself a deadline. Dice it up anyway. If it's a big project, dice it up so it fits into your calendar, but put it in writing. That will keep you on track to control your time. You're not going to manage it. I mean, it is what it is, but you got to control what you're doing. It's your efforts that you're controlling, right? Not the time, right? So thanks, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's lots of powerful wisdom this morning being shared too. That's really it isn't it amazing too when we control the activities that we do, like Brian Tracy would say, eat that frog, the biggest frog first. Um, David Meltzer, who we came on last week, in his amazing insights, his big thing is that do it now. Once that's done, do it next. So what's now, this moment, and then what's next? And do we have a routine in the morning? Everybody's trying to sleep and then just get up in enough time to make it to their office. Well, what if you get up 30, 45 minutes earlier and you dedicate that time to yourself to get a morning routine, quiet your mind, tap into your subconscious, meditate, get an order for the day, that divine guidance. What's your five big activities? What is that first one? When will it be done? Put it on the calendar. What's not on the calendar doesn't happen. If it's not in the calendar, forget about it. It's just a hope. It's a wish. This is where the drifting begins. And then at the end of the evening, end of the day, I should say, the evening, add in a 30 to 45-minute routine too. What went well? What are the wins? What are the tiniest wins? What are the areas of the opportunity for learning? What were the opportunities that I can do better? And make that a regular thing. There's a discipline coming in. We're not drifting when we stay focused and do that. Rob, come on in with the add to our conversation here.
Yeah, Bill, this is a great conversation as usual. I wanted to kind of drop my thoughts in about a different aspect of time, and that's respecting others' time. So when I was a manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield Arizona, we had a very understaffed security team, and a cybersecurity team. And looking at alerts all day, it's really easy to get fatigued because there's a lot of them. And one of the ways I was successful with my team and keeping their morale up was respecting their time. So everything that we talked about, I either individually or as a team, I would ask them, "What time do you have? What personally do you have to do that's going to take time? Because I want you to have that time. When can we have this meeting? Because I don't want to take up time that you're using to accomplish the task I gave you. Does this meeting make sense? Does it take the time we need to use? Will that time that we're using benefit what we're trying to do as a whole? So really just when I would talk to them about their time, all my feedback, because we do the 360, every year you get the feedback from from your subordinates or your direct reports. I was always out the roof, and HR would always ask me, you're doing a great, like you're the most understaffed team, and I was like, well, because I respect their time, and I learned that from the military. So in the military, as Frank knows, there's a lot of sitting around sometimes. Hurry up and wait, and it can just kill you. Let me get out of here. What's going on? What's the meeting? But I learned from the military if I can manage my guys, my men, their time, that really builds the team. That's just another team builder, and that it shows them that I respect that time because in the military, that time, any of our time is really precious. But with the deployments and after 9/11, time was precious because you want to be with your wife, your kids. So I would manage that. And when I got hired in a leadership position, it was really paid off because everyone knew Chief McCaslin was going to take care of us. He's not going to have us there at 5 o'clock for nothing. He's going to manage our time respectfully. So that's just another way of looking at time for me that prompted some thought on the subject.
Oh yeah, that's very powerful. You can go down a rabbit hole there too, as far as when meetings are held within an organization, what could be done as a prep work so people can take responsibility for themselves to show up prepared, and you can laser focus within that time. Everybody can. There's never going to be replace human interaction. Humans are always going to need to connect. However, do you have to have a meeting because we have to decide on the hue of the color of the logo, or do we have to have a meeting and talk about like what we didn't like about this? No, that's not productive use of time. That's not moving any needle anywhere. Respect that they have a life and you have a life too, and um, not expecting other people to always conform to your time too. It's being, that respect for other people, I think, is a big service that we can do in life. So that's a great point to bring up there. Um, so I guess in all of this, time management is BS. So when people talk about time management, their time management coach, that's what is it? Cleona says, "What the cracker barrel is that?" I know there's other words that we can use in a locker room language, but you know what I'm getting at, right? We manage our activities, not the time. The time, and it's amazing when we're in a routine. It's like, wow, I got 3 days work of work done, maybe about 5 hours. How did that happen? Because I was focused and I used my time well. And then you have the time for free, like you can have free time, and so that's always a great thing to do. Um, Mastering the moment. The next one is we start to shift here. Money. Who likes money? Who likes to talk about money? As a side too, there's a great book. If you're exploring your own money psychology, Reverend Barker, Barker, writes a book, God is Money in Action. I highly recommend that as a book if you have a money psychology, you want to shift your money psychology from where you are. It's a great thing. Um, Again, we're coming down to habits. What are the habits that we have with money? Are we journaling our thoughts as it relates to time in our activities? Are we journaling what happens with money? What is money? Is money simply an energetic exchange? And how do we tap into the energy for a flow? How's a flow nice and easy? For example, we can check in with ourselves and know, do we have limits? What is our limit? At what point do we say a certain dollar amount is an expense? Is it, oh, if it costs me 100, if it costs me 100,000, does it cost me $1 billion? At what point does it really bring me angst within my gut? Frank, you have your hand up, and Zach, you have your hand up. So let's hear from you guys. Oh, you muted me,
Yeah,
Frank.
yeah. Thanks, Phil. So two things. First off, I just want to bring attention. Luis put in the chat in regard to time management. There's a book that he read that really helped him get his stuff together. It's called Indistractable by Nair, Nireyal, uh, Indistractable. So you might want to check that out. And going into money, money's just a tool. And I think unfortunately most of us were raised to treat money differently. And obviously we were all raised differently, so perhaps you had a different lesson than I did. But for me, you worked for money so you could buy stuff that you wanted. You work for money so you could buy stuff that you wanted. If I asked my dad for money, he'd say, go get a job, get it yourself. Okay, I guess that's a good lesson. You got to work for what you want. But there was never any conversation, whether it be from my home or from my schooling, that said you need to put money away. You need to save money. You need to invest money. And it's not about the money, it's about preparation. It's about being prepared. And as a young Marine with two young kids, I remember, an unexpected $50 bill sent me into a twist. I didn't have an extra 50 bucks. What do you mean 50 bucks? I'm barely able to put hot dogs on the table for my family. But people become millionaires with very little money, very little income because they had a plan. And so, life's lessons teaches us that money is nothing more than a tool. How much money you have doesn't matter, but it's how you use the money that you have and how you prepare for the future. So many people in our society today, unfortunately, are dependent on Social Security and welfare just to survive because there was no preparation. I think this chapter in the book, budgeting time and money, is probably one of the most important chapters for us as leaders in our communities to teach and share to the younger generation. And I'm talking two generations behind us. Start teaching them. This is why it's important for you to take 10 cents. I said 10 cents out of every single dollar and put it someplace where you're not going to spend it. And if they start that process at age 15 or younger, and they just focus on 10%, because that's all 10 cents out of a dollar is, it's 10%. If they put away 10% of every earned dollar into a savings account or an investment account, where would they be in 40 years? At age 55, if they started at 15, where would they be in 40 years if they just followed that simple rule? And it's a simple rule. The richest man in Babylon. If any of you have not read that book, please read it. If you have read it, go read it again because it's so simple. The lesson is so simple. It's simple to do, provided you have the discipline to put it away and leave it there. Right? So, money's nothing more than a tool. Don't worry about money. Money's not going to hurt you. The more money you make, the more people you can help. That's the way I look at it. The
Yeah,
more money
I
I
was talking about.
make, go ahead, Phil.
No, yeah, you could finish. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, just the more money you make, it allows you to help other people. It removes all the pressure
Yeah,
from yourself to live the life that you want to live. You can go and help people. And it's nothing to me to see a homeless guy on the street to go give him 20 bucks. That just made his freaking week, right? And it's a piss in the bucket to me. And so, I mean, maybe that's not to you, maybe it is to you, I don't know, but it changes your mentality, it changes your attitude about life. Change your attitude about money, you'll change your attitude about life. That's all I got. I don't want to preach.
Yeah, it's like Bob Proctor would talk about the lesson where it's like people got it wrong. It's like in spirituality, people talk about money being evil, things like that. And really, what it's about, it's not about people who love money and use people. It's people who love people and use money. And when we use money, it's a resource that can be used for good. And we have a few people with the hands up, so I want to get them in too. Zachary, come on into the conversation, my friend. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
Hey everybody. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for your time and energy. Um, I've been taking some notes and just trying to focus on
You took it out.
all the wonderful things that have been being said. And it really makes me, I believe that
Oh, you're freezing up there, Zachary. Are you able to move your car to a different position? Uh, is it me or we can't hear
No,
you, Zachary?
we can't hear
No.
him out. Maybe he
Let's
closed
go
his
to Eddie.
camera.
Maybe if you close your video, try closing your video, Zachary, and speaking because we can't hear you. You're choppy. Can you try
Okay.
speaking now?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
no, no.
no, no.
Close your video, but put the audio. If you can try to close the video. We can't hear you. You're in silent. Close your video, if you can. Shut the video down and then audio. Can you shut the video off?
I got it. There you go.
you guys can move on for a minute and I'll try to get somewhere
Hey,
with better
Zach,
reception.
All right, we'll come back to you. We'll come
you're
back to you.
crystal
When you're in a better
clear.
place, come. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Ed and Luis.
Yeah, let's go to Eddie.
Ed,
Can you hear me?
we can
Can you
hear you
hear me,
now.
Phil? Okay.
I can hear you.
When I was, I don't know, around 15, 16, I got my first job. Just like Phil, we worked for the family. When minimum wage was $1.25, I made $1. And I was always promised that doesn't matter what you get paid now, all of this will be yours someday. Okay, the whole family business. Phil and I shared an industry. We're both funeral directors. And then I got tired of that because I just didn't have enough money as a teenager to do what I wanted to do at $1 an hour. So I went and worked for the Stop and Shop, and I made $1.88 an hour. Now I'm making 60 cents more than minimum wage. I was kingpin. I was top of the world. And so I'm thinking, wow, I can do this, I can do that. And my father drove me to school one day and he said, "How you feeling?" I said, "I'm feeling great." He said, "Well, you've got one thing to trade for your money. One thing, and that's your time. And you've only got one life and certain amount of time to trade for money." And I started to look at money differently at that point because everybody's talking. Yes, the more money you have, the more you can help people. And I understand that. And that's a great thing. But you still have to live. You still have to have self-worth and you still have to have your own power. And unfortunately, in this society, we are measured by how much money we have, not much how much we're doing with our time. That's why I think that this conversation is incredible because it helps us balance both money and time. That's what I got.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah, isn't that so true too? We start to really prioritize what's important, and we really we take responsibility, start drifting. Um, I was talking about this lovely stick person. Doesn't it look like me? Isn't it, great? So we talk about, what are we thinking about in our thoughts where it comes to time? But all the habits are in the subconscious mind. The habits of how we use our time. This thing called a paradigm that controls our programming from the time we're a kid. It's like the use of our time is controlled by a paradigm. Our money psychology, what we think about money, what we believe we are value, what we believe we're worth, what we believe we can do. All of those things are controlled by the subconscious mind. Um, so we have to really work on the habits and create new habits. If they have, how do you know what the paradigm is? Look at your results. They are good or bad. They simply reflect what's going on in the subconscious mind. And without going too far down that rabbit hole, too, Luis, come on in. You have something to share.
Zach is back.
Zach is back. There he is. Are
Can you
you
hear me better
able to?
now?
Yes. Yeah, that's lovely.
Wonderful. Um, Sorry about the um, lack of connection. Um,
All good.
but
All
yeah,
good.
so I again thank everybody. Thank you all for your time and energy. I look at energy as the true currency of the universe. I see it. I like to say thank you for your time and energy because I see value in that. Um, money's pretend. Period. We made it up. Humans made up money. We created it. It's not a thing that it's not like rocks. It wasn't here a million years ago. We made money. There's value to money that makes it what it is. Um, and that's fine. That's beautiful. But time and energy, you know, energy is transferable, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
And if you have awareness, if you're present and you're not drifting, you can see the energy that you're receiving and that you're giving. You don't have to necessarily hold on to any energy. So if somebody has some type of negative energy and they're transferring that to you and you have capacity and you're able to hold that and then release it and let it go, great, good for you. Um, I try to really focus on being able to give the positive energy out. And then I look at the time as kind of the amount of the energy, right? Like how much energy are we giving? How much and that can vary as well, because a very small amount of time might give somebody all the energy in the world that they ever needed, given, it's all circumstantial for sure. Um, but money is my dad, he got pretty sick and he's now pretty much limited to being in his home. And he's got a little bit of money and he tells me, he's told me on more than one occasion, I focused so much on money, on the finances, and I stressed out about it and I didn't create experiences. And so, I think about value. That's something that really comes up to me. And obviously I need to pay my bills unless I'm going to go nomadic and just live in the woods, which is an option, I suppose. I do have children. They might not like that as much as I would enjoy it. But but I mean, so being realistic, there's things that I have to consider. But again, thank you all for your time and energy. And I just wanted to check. I heard uh, Indistractable and The Richest Man in Babylon were the two books that I heard mentioned. I got those
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much for Zachary sharing that. Isn't it so true to this? If we had this wheel of life, we're talking time and money. Those are parts of the wheel of life. The other we have is our health and our relationships with ourselves and relationships with others. How do we get into our spirituality? How do we have time? You know, what are we doing with getting out in nature? What are we doing in community? Contributions to the community. I tried to say that too fast. You know, all these 8 areas. How are we always improving ourselves, right? And I got some more to share on that a little bit as we go. Luis, come on, and then Leroy.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Zachary, because to me, money is energy. To me, money is energy. It's and money loves to be circulated. Money loves to be moved. And I didn't know that. I learned this recently in the last few years. When I grew up, my dad, just like most of you guys, he would not talk to me about money or anything like that, saving. He was expecting me to save without ever talking to me about saving. So I remember growing up, my dad will give us some allowance every week. So he would say on Sunday or Monday, here's your allowance. This is going to have to, whatever you do with it, if you don't have money by Tuesday, Wednesday, that's your problem. If you still have money by the weekend, then good for you. So he did that for all, probably from 6 years old till I was 14, 15 years old. So I learned, I created a programming in my mind, and I was on a budget all the time. So whenever I needed to get money for anything, a karate tournament, a trip here, anywhere, buy something, whatever, I would just focus on the money that I needed. And I would never make more of what I needed to, or what I could make, if that makes sense. Like, let's say a trip to a tournament in Houston was $500. I wouldn't make 600 or 650. I will go with 600 because that's what it was going to cost me. So that was my whole adult life. I was on a budget here all the time until I met a person and one of my clients. I was started teaching him private lessons, and he owned candy shops, literally Mexican candy. And he had like two or three different stores. And then he was going on vacations to Vegas, on cruises to Brazil, here, there. And I was like, how in the world? Yeah, because you own, you're a business owner, you own a business. So that started shifting, and I started talking to him, little things here and there. And that was the first person that woke me up. And I agree with Eddie. I don't care. People, and I'm not going against what Zach said. Please understand what I'm saying. People, the only people that they think money is not important, and I know Zach didn't say that, but just making clear that, but people say money is not important. Yeah, yes, it is important. The only people that have said that is the ones that they don't have it or never had it. That was me for many years.
Yeah.
Now, if I get in trouble, my kid gets in trouble, or anybody in my family gets sick, I want the best doctor, and I don't want just whatever doctor or the best lawyer or the best car, because I know my family is going to be safe in that car. So I agree with Eddie. It is very important that we get to learn to earn good money, because also it is available for us. I don't want to get mystical or religious, but I know my God wants me and all of you guys to be rich. It is a
Abundance over
natural,
scarcity, right?
it's a birthright,
Yeah,
right? Yes,
yeah.
Phil.
Abundance over scarcity. Yeah,
Mm.
so good. Yeah, Leroy.
Mm. Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you all for your shares. It was so inspiring. And Frank, you said something about we all grew up in different environments, and we did. But I think, and I don't know, most of you were probably brought up in a Catholic church. Uh, the I my background is Amish, but the foundation of it is Catholicism, really. It's very similar. So we were taught, okay, money is the root of all evil, but and so we all kind of have that uh, perception. So, and I hear you say you don't want to get spiritual or religious, but it's all spiritual. To me, it's all spiritual. My my focus is to get back to actually teaching what the real teaching of the Bible is. It's not religious, it's spiritual. It's teaching about money because Jesus taught a lot about money. And we've weaponized it to where it's about obedience to the church instead of about money. And so
Mm.
that's, it's yeah, my dad didn't teach me. I mean, and here's another areas, more is taught than taught. We don't do what they say, we do how they do. And I followed his path. Money was not important. It was, we wanted it, but it wasn't, top priority. It wasn't, you know, we didn't really learn how it operates. And I didn't learn how that it was a principle until very recent years.
Mhm.
So I'm very grateful for this kind of discussion, and I want to learn all I can about it to change all of that. So thank you all. And that's what I had to share.
Thank you, Leroy. And as I'm budgeting my time to talk about these concepts here too, one of the big things that I wanted to get into the point was that there's two ways of being. I think Luis, you hinted at here's a salary, right? Here's Ed. Here's what I'm going to give you. Here's my what do you call it? Allowance, right? Or here's your salary, right? So many people are stuck in that limitation. See, salary is like that drug that keeps you coming back just enough so you can pay a bill, or maybe you can't pay a bill, not enough that you can really grow who you are as a person. We can't invest in ourselves. The idea of if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you get to serve people, you receive money, and then you get the chance to categorize your money into investments and into investments in yourself, short-term savings. How do we invest in life insurance and cash, investments? How do we save for a vacation car house? How do we spend on education and training? The six jars, your household expenses, your long-term, your fun. The first thing to do, have fun. What is it that you love to do? Then you can save some money too. And then you can move into, so Steve Harbecker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind has a six jar thing. We won't get into all of that, but I want to bring that into the idea of being an entrepreneur first, so you can have those funds before you have the limitation where you get taxes held out before you can expense. And I think that's something to look at. And then are we trading dollars for hours? We getting hourly wage, or are we investing in a business, but we're really doing that on a higher level as a business owner, but we're doing 110 hours of work a week? Or do we have multiple streams of income? There's three different ways to earn money. How do we have multiple streams? So I'm working, you know, 60% less, but I'm earning 10x more. Each one of those little tiny businesses build. That's a big conversation for another. I just wanted to budget those things in when we're talking about money because it's a big, big subject to get into.
Yeah, real quick before I guess you go to Zachary. Yeah, that's amazing. But who here is an entrepreneur that you started having money right away? I didn't. It took me a long time. And so I had to close six, seven schools before I actually got one successful one. So that is true, right? People say, well, be an entrepreneur, you're going to have your own time and your own money. Bull crap. It's like having another kid every single time. It's just like that. But yeah, but at one point, if we're persistent, right? If we're persistent and we educate ourselves in the business and then it's going to pay off absolutely. I just wanted to make
And
it
then,
clear because
and I always like I
or
have to ask
hire a
business
coach.
owners exactly how do you cook, because I always love to ask business owners: are you focused on expenses or are you focused on service? If you focus on service, revenue comes in. If you focus on what it costs, that's not a healthy way to live. So anyway, um, Zachary, and then Frank, because this moment is going fast.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks. Thank you to Luis as far as stating that money is energy, because I absolutely subscribe to that. I think everything is energy. And you said money likes to flow. I think everything likes to flow. I think really negative things happen when things become stagnant. I mean, like catastrophic things, or when things start to flow in a way where there's friction or there's resistance, and things are not in alignment, you know. So absolutely, money is energy, and it likes to flow. Things need to flow, all things. So appreciate you pointing that out.
Great point, Zachary. Thank you. Thank you for contributing, and thank you, our energy. Frank, I think you're silent.
No, I'm good. I'm just sitting there waiting for you to
Oh,
say Frank.
oh, Frank. I'll be frank with you. My middle name is Frank, so
I love this conversation, and especially what Zach just said, based on Luis saying money likes to flow. Life needs to flow. If it's not moving, it's either getting stagnant or getting worse, right? You don't stand still in life. You go backward or you force yourself to go forward. And as I was listening to the conversation, I'm remembering how many times, and many of you just kind of reflect for a minute, how many times did someone look at you and what you're doing and say these words? You're so lucky. You're so lucky. I remember I was out for a run one day in my former home in Port Charlotte, and I was running down the road, and a woman was coming toward me, and she said, "You're so lucky to still be able to move like that." And I said that to my wife when I got back. I said, "Yeah, this lady told me I was so lucky because I was out jogging." And my wife said, "Bullshit. It's not luck. You work hard at it." And I think that that is true for everybody in this room, whatever level of success you've achieved. And by the way, everybody in this room has achieved success. None of us are in the poorhouse. None of us are in jail. None of us are scrambling for a morsel of food. At least it doesn't look that way. We all look pretty healthy, right? And here's what I got to say. That's got nothing to do with luck. That's got to do with the effort that you put forth. And I think it was Phil that said earlier, if you don't like your results, look at your actions. So even though I consider myself to be pretty fortunate in life because of the things that I've done in my life, if I start to question if I don't like where I am or what's happening, then I just need to look at what am I doing? Because nobody else has control over my life but me, right? And that's why, we're studying these books. This is a blueprint. And if you're not reading a portion of this every single day, then you're refusing to learn deeper because reading the book once doesn't give you the lessons. It just gives you information. And information is useless unless you find a way to implement it by using a plan. So, what are the things that are important here? Getting knowledge to become better, implementing that knowledge, putting it together in a plan of action. And I just experienced this yesterday. I had to put together a final paper for phase one of my certification with Napoleon Hill Foundation. And I had to write this minimum 4-page paper of my definite purpose and my action steps and my plan and everything. And man, it was a lot of work. But that's what planning is. It's work that makes your effort easier. It makes your results better. So you can't just attend this mastermind on Tuesdays and then shut the camera off when we're done and move on. This has to be a continuous study. This room is nothing more than a place to discuss, hassle each other a little bit, challenge each other a little bit, make everybody open their eyes and look at things a little bit differently. And we had some great conversations here today based on our own personal interpretation of budgeting time and money, right? So take the lesson, implement the lesson, and see. And in your journal, ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do today What did I do today based on the lesson I listened to this morning? Right. And I just want to remind me, we are at 12:02, so we're 2 minutes over. I see Rob's hand up, and then Phil, if you want to take us in for a landing, that'd be awesome. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, really quick, Frank. I got a lot of married friends that tell me I'm lucky because I'm single, and I tell them, well, trust me, you don't want to be 55 and on a dating app. So there's just different levels of luck.
Yeah, 55 on a dating app. That's scary.
Tell me about it.
Hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We used to talk about make fun of those people who were 41 when we were in our 20s, yet hanging out at the Palace that Eddie would know, the different nightclubs. And
Yeah.
now when you're 60, you find yourself in that situation that, okay, well, that's what's just one area of the day. It's just one area of several. Again, it's about, abundance, not scarcity. Anyway,
Yeah, make a plan.
make a get purpose, plan, and action. Frank, thanks for being an example of discipline. Actually, really, it's purpose, plan, you work hard, in action. Action is the working hard, and we have to do that because this way we can be in the flow. It's cash flow, revenue streams,
Yeah. Yeah.
time streams.
Yeah. Phil, I love it.
Rob,
You guys remember during COVID when they were talking about PPE, right? PPE.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so instead of plan, purpose, action, I call it plan, purpose, execution. So PPE just simply means stop being sick, get your ass out to work, and let's get things done, right? PPE, plan, purpose, or purpose, plan, execution. So I love it.
Yeah, Rob, did you finish your point? I didn't mean to hijack you there, kid.
Yeah, he's good.
You're good. Oh, okay, you're good. All right, just want to be sure. Yeah, this has been really a great, fast-moving meeting. It's the areas that we all have to continuously improve on. We can use that time better. Ask yourself every day in your journal, how can I use my time better? How can I focus in this moment? How can I organize my cash flow into six different places? One is household, one is, investing in myself, investing in education, fun, and long-term savings. T. Harveka has a great book on that, for separating out every dollar in, it's used in a purpose. It has a purpose. Energy has a purpose. And those are the things I really loved about today. And these lessons are, these foundational principles are building on each other. And that's what we're here to do. And we're a work in progress. And I love you guys for being here, showing up as the man you are. And invite other people too. Invite some other men. Keep on talking. We're going to build out. I know I keep on talking. Some people said you got to join this dynamic conversation. It's really, really going deeper, and we're really growing.
Yeah.
Frank,
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up real quick. First off, there's another book here Louise shared with us in the chat, The Law of Circulation. We're talking about money, so The Law of
yeah,
Circulation is something you might want to look at. Also, I just want to remind everybody this week, this coming week, next week, we will be talking about positive mental attitude. And Luis is going to be running the show next week as I will be on a golf trip vacation with my Marine buddy. But please read that chapter, Positive Mental Attitude. And also reach out to each other during the week. We all got to have each other's emails. If somebody said something today that struck you differently and you want to have little bit more conversation, or maybe you just want to encourage each other, reach out by email, start those conversations. That's another factor of what this whole thing is all about. So with that, I will let you go. Have a great, wonderful week. As always, it was great to be here. And you will see the replay posted a little bit later on today. So take a look at the replay if you think you missed anything. I guarantee you we all did. All right. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks. Talk to you later. Bye.
But
bye all.
Bye,
Have a great
everyone.
day.
Bye bye, guys.